Hey everybody, Josh Peck here. We got a lot to talk about today on this episode of the Sharpening Report. Thank you for joining us. This is a topic we've covered before, but it just keeps getting weirder and weirder and weirder. And so I've got some new developments to share with you. And this is all about Nephilim hybrids, but modern day hybridization, like the same kind of experiments that were going on in the days of Noah. So we're going to get into all of that. If you haven't had a chance to do so, if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe and click the bell to turn on all notifications. It's the best way to support our YouTube channel. And we want to grow that because the more subscribers we have, the more the algorithm will push our video out there for more people to see, and the more light we can spread to the world. That's what we're trying to do. So if you want to help support that, please subscribe. Also, if you want this full video and all the full videos of everything that we do, go to dailyrenegade.com and get a membership there. That's the best place to get everything that we do, because we can do that censorship free. Not only do you get full videos of everything, but there's also a community tab, so you can talk with in fellowship with other like-minded Christians in this space, and you can talk about whatever you want. And it's there's no censorship there, so it's a lot better. It's like the best of both worlds of YouTube and Facebook, but without the censorship. Also, there at dailyrenegade.com, you can download a PDF of all my show notes. Basically, what I do when I do a video like this is I write a long article, basically, and I use that as the script for the episode. So if you want this episode in written format, there's two ways you can do that. You can go to dailyrenegade.com, like I mentioned, and download the PDF. Or if you don't want to download a PDF, you can go to my Substack, JoshPeck.substack.com. What's great about that is you get the text of the episode in like an online article form, but you also get the audio only podcast version of this episode. It's everything, and it's a full version. It's not just half or anything. It's the absolute full version, and it's just audio only in case you didn't want to deal with a video or something like that. So all that being said, let's jump into this. So the Dead Sea Scrolls, many of you are familiar with that because you watch me and I talk about them a lot, but in case you're not, if you're brand new, they're ancient Jewish texts from over 2,000 years ago, and they include stories about angels called Watchers who sinned by mating with human women, creating giant hybrid offspring known as Nephilim. So in texts like the Book of Enoch and Book of Giants found among the scrolls, the Watchers are also described as creating hybrids with animals. Specifically, 1 Enoch 7:5 notes the giants sinned against birds, animals, reptiles, and fish, which in this interpretation suggests that the Watchers or their offspring produced unnatural animal hybrids, disrupting nature. These accounts in the scrolls portray the Watchers' actions as causing widespread corruption, including both human and animal hybrids, leading to divine judgment. Now, the sins of the Watchers, specifically the creation of the Nephilim and any other potential hybrid, was dealt with in the flood of Noah's day. But Jesus tells us that the end times would be like the days of Noah. And today, human beings are creating all kinds of hybrids, and that, of course, leads us to wonder, is the end coming soon? So let's talk about a few of these that are more recent. You know, we know that these have been happening for years, decades at this point. You know, glow-in-the-dark pigs, spider goats that actually make spider webs. It's insane. This has been going on for a long time, but it is ramping up. It's getting weirder and weirder. So first, let's talk about an example of animal-to-animal hybrids. Woolly mice. So scientists are engaged in a complex project to try to bring back the woolly mammoth. That's a species that went extinct thousands of years ago. And using a process called genetic engineering, they extract DNA from mammoth fossils and combine it with the DNA of living animals such as mice and elephants. And the aim is to create hybrid creatures that carry mammoth traits, like thick fur, large tusks, or the ability to survive in cold environments. Now, keep in mind, anytime they do this, and they did this with the direwolf recently, they always say that they brought back an extinct animal. That's not what happened. They did not bring back an extinct animal. They created a new hybrid. They created a hybrid of an extinct animal and a living one. So they now, of course, these experiments. This is always presented with purely altruistic purposes, but of course, we know better. The justifications they give for this are pretty ridiculous. So researchers believe these animals could one day, roam the Arctic, helping to restore ecosystems like the tundra grasslands. So, for example, researchers actually say that their trampling feet could pack down snow, keeping the ground colder and slowing the release of greenhouse gases from thawing permafrost. That's the justification they use. It's funny how it always goes back to climate change. But the process started small with experiments in mice to test mammoth genes. Now, through this, they have actually created real mammoth mouse hybrids. These are absolutely real. They exist, and they've been created. But the long-term goal is to produce elephant-like animals with mammoth characteristics. Now, they will tell you when they do this that they've brought back the woolly mammoth. No, they haven't. They've created a hybrid of a woolly mammoth and a living elephant. Which, to me, I think that's even worse. So this work involves editing the genetic code of living animals, a technique that allows scientists to add or remove specific traits. In labs, they use tools like CRISPR to insert mammoth DNA into cells, hoping to create embryos that can grow into hybrid creatures. However, the risks are significant, obviously. So mixing DNA from different species could disrupt natural ecosystems, introducing animals that don't belong or behave unpredictably. And these hybrids might compete with native species. They may spread disease or fail to survive in the wild, creating more problems than solutions. The technology is still untested on this scale, and the long-term consequences are unknown. But they're doing it anyway. So, for instance, if these creatures reproduce, their altered genes could spread in ways that scientists cannot control. Again, just like the days of Noah. Now, we as Christians understand that this is playing God and is absolutely forbidden. But outside of religion and beyond science, this project raises deep ethical questions for everyday people. Is it right to create new kinds of animals by blending species? What happens if these hybrids cause harm, like damaging crops, wildfire, or even human communities? Some worry that genetic engineering pushes boundaries too far, altering nature in ways that could absolutely backfire. Others question whether resources spent on reviving extinct animals would be better used to protect species that are endangered today. The debate is heated, with scientists, environmentalists, and the public weighing the potential benefits against the dangers of tampering with life itself. But this project shows how far science has come and how much it can change the world. Genetic engineering is already used in medicine and farming, which is bad enough. But creating hybrid animals takes it to a new level. Hey everyone. Concerning the economically unstable times that we live in, it is a great idea to convert some of your savings into real money. Now, there is a big difference between real money and what we call money, which is actually currency. So our dollar is currency, which fluctuates. Real money, like silver, is a store of value over time. The best way to think of it is like this. If you had saved $1,000 in cash back in the late 1960s, that $1,000 would still be $1,000 today, but it would buy you significantly less today due to inflation. Now, if you saved that same $1,000 in silver back in the 1960s, it would be around $28,000 today. So one of the best ways to protect your purchasing power is in real money, more specifically, silver. Now, you can buy and have the metal shipped discreetly to your door. And what most people don't know is that you can actually convert your IRA or even your 401k into physical silver rather than having all your life savings tied up in the paper fiat system, which is, of course, subject to hyperinflation. So go to dailyrenegade.com right now and click on the Cornerstone Asset Metals banner and sign up to get your free silver report. One of the financial experts will speak with you and find out the best way to protect your savings going forward in these uncertain times. You can also click on the link in the description below that goes directly to cornerstoneassetmetals.com. Make sure you tell them that Josh Peck at Daily Renegade sent you. It is time to stop trusting the evil beast financial system of the world and protect your assets today. The idea of seeing mammoth-like creatures in our lifetime is intriguing, I'll admit, but it's just simply not worth going against God's ordered creation and bringing down his judgment. You know, just like in Jurassic Park, this work forces us to ask, just because we can create these animals, should we? I don't think so. Oh, it doesn't stop at animal to animal hybrids. There's also animal to human hybrids. And there's a lot of examples of this, but I want to focus on tardigrade super soldiers. So scientists in China are experimenting with a tiny, really tough creature called a tardigrade. Sometimes it's called a water bear. But these are microscopic animals. They're less than a millimeter long, and they can survive extreme conditions like freezing cold, boiling heat, outer space, and high radiation. So researchers at a military science academy in Beijing are taking genes from tardigrades and inserting them into human embryonic stem cells using CRISPR. Their experiments show that these modified human cells can withstand intense X-ray radiation that would normally destroy regular cells. The cells not only survive, but somehow grow faster after exposure. The scientists' goal is to create stronger humans, possibly soldiers, who could endure harsh environments like areas affected by nuclear fallout and resist disease. Now, obviously, this raises big concerns. So, tardigrades have a special protein called DSUP or DSUP that protects their DNA from damage, and transferring this to human cells seems to help shield them too. However, mixing human and animal DNA could lead to unexpected problems like mutations, cancer, or changes in behavior. If these altered genes pass to future generations, they might permanently change what it means to be human. And also, I wrote about that in terms of the transhumanist movement, because transhumanists, you know, they're really into this genetic altering stuff, and it's like, yeah, but if you do that and you're genetically outside of humanity, you know, if you're genetically not human anymore, if you're a hybrid, and then you go and reproduce, well, then the children are going to be part hybrid, part human. You know, there's just hybrids all around. It's like hybrids all the way down after that. There's really no way to contain it after that. If you're interested in that, I have a 2-volume book set that I released recently called The Final Cataclysm. It's available right now at prophecywatchers.com, and I just did an interview with Gary Stearman about it on the Prophecy Watchers YouTube channel. And there's also This Week in Bible Prophecy from Prophecy Watchers, the podcast. That's a separate channel, but I did a longer form interview with Mondo Gonzalez on that one. And at some point in the future, I did another network interview with Mondo at Prophecy Watchers on the Final Cataclysm. I'm sure that'll be released later. But those 2 books, The Final Cataclysm, get into some of this stuff if you're interested. And best place to get it is prophecywatchers.com. And I'll ask too, if you have the books, or if you've already gotten them, even if you didn't get them from Amazon, can you go like leave a review on Amazon for me? Because I'm getting people giving me 1 stars because they say that it's like it's for reasons that I don't think are particularly fair. Like one person left a 1-star review and then just said, "Not what I expected, too technical." And I'm telling you, like, for those of you who know how I write, it's not too technical. I mean, the concepts are big because we're talking about, like, transhumanism and AI and quantum computing. But I do my best to simplify it as much as possible, and I give examples. And I'd appreciate it if you could leave me a review on Amazon for those two books, if you have them, if you read them, and just leave honest reviews. I would really like that. That would help. But anyway, now. Apart from that, some also worry about the ethics of creating these, enhanced soldiers, which could break international rules against biological weapons. Others fear that this technology might be tested on vulnerable people, raising questions about fairness and exploitation. But there's also the question of what it means to be human. So Jesus came to save humanity. We know what the judgment has been for non-human intelligent entities, such as fallen angels and the Nephilim, and it's been utter destruction, no chance of salvation at all. If a person alters their genes enough that they are not human anymore, could they still be eligible for salvation? I mean, we know from the book of Revelation that during the tribulation, people will be required to take what's called the mark of the beast. We also know that whoever takes the mark is no longer eligible for salvation. They cannot be saved after that. So does the mark do something to alter the genetics of the one who takes it in such a way that they're no longer considered human? A lot of people think that. And with these super soldiers, are we seeing a type of precursor to the mark of the beast? I know for me personally, I would not want to take that chance. So this is pretty horrifying stuff that's going on. But again, doesn't end there. There's also human-machine hybrids, so robots with human brain cells. So again, scientists in China are developing robots controlled by human brain cells. And this is a technology that blends biology with machines in ways that raise both possibilities and concerns. So researchers at Tianjin University and other institutions have grown tiny clusters of human brain cells called organoids from stem cells in a lab. These organoids, they're smaller than a grain of rice, and they mimic some functions of a human brain, forming networks of neurons that can process information. And by placing these organoids on a chip with electrodes, scientists connect them to robots, allowing the cells to direct movements like avoiding obstacles, tracking objects, or grasping items. This brain-on-chip system uses artificial intelligence and machine learning to help the organoid learn and adapt, similar to how a human brain improves with experience. The technology, developed under projects like MetaBOC, is open source, meaning other scientists can study and build on it, and it's being tested to make robots more efficient and responsive. And this technology is exploding fast, especially with it being open source like that. So the process begins with stem cells, which can turn into any cell type in the body. Scientists guide these cells to form brain-like structures that, while far simpler than a real brain, can handle basic tasks when linked to a robot. The organoids communicate through electrical signals, interpreting environmental data like a basic form of sight or touch, and send commands to the robot. Some experiments use low-intensity ultrasound to stimulate the organoids, potentially boosting their growth and performance. And again, as always, these experiments are being presented in the best light possible, because that's what they always do. They don't ever tell you the risks, and you got to get that from the critics, or from people like me and other people that talk about this. But when they present this stuff, it's always in the best light possible. Researchers say that this could lead to breakthroughs like helping people with disabilities by connecting brain-like systems to robotic limbs, or creating computers that use less energy, since human brains are far more efficient than traditional processors. And they use these reasons so it's harder to criticize, because if you criticize it, it's like, what, don't you want quadriplegics to walk again? Don't you want the blind to see? It's like, yes, but I don't think this is the way to do it. And and I also don't think that that's the extent with which how this technology is going to be used. Of course, it's going to be used in any way that it possibly can be. In fact, military applications are already being explored with interest in using this technology to enhance decision making in autonomous systems. But again, this work comes with a lot of risks. You know, combining human brain cells with machines, that could produce systems that are unpredictable or even difficult to control. Some worry that advanced organoids might develop a form of awareness. Now, scientists insist that current versions are too simple for that, but how can they know that for sure? And also, it's obvious that it's not going to stop at current versions. Even if current versions are too simple for that, it's not going to stop there. They're going to keep pushing it. They'll keep making it more and more advanced, risking the possibility of a machine becoming self-aware. There's also concern about the source of these cells and whether their use respects human dignity, especially if and when the technology scales up. Now, past experiments like those involving animal testing for brain chip projects have raised alarms about harm and suffering, and similar issues could arise here. The military interest sparks fears of misuse, such as creating enhanced soldiers or autonomous weapons. And if China gets their hands on something like that, what do you think they're going to do with it? Science is outpacing regulations, and mistakes could lead to ecological or societal harm, like altered systems spreading beyond labs, which, of course, that's bound to happen. Additionally, the reliance on AI to train these organoids, that adds another layer of concern. As we've talked about many times on this channel, AI itself can be unreliable or biased. It could also be being manipulated by malevolent spiritual forces. And we've talked about that before. Again, check out that Prophecy Watchers interview on the Final Cataclysm. And check out my books for more of that. I talk a lot about that. If a spiritual entity was influencing artificial intelligence, how would we know? We really wouldn't. We wouldn't have any way to know. So this technology was once regulated to science fiction movies and TV shows, but as has happened so many times in the past, science fiction has now become science fact. You know, no one gets into full-time ministry to make money. At least no one should. Given that, Daily Renegade accepts donations from those who care to help keep us going. Now, because Daily Renegade does not want to be told by the government what we can and can't say, we're not 501c3, so your donations are not tax deductible, but that's not why you're giving anyway, to get something back for yourself. Speaking of which, we here are never going to promise that if you donate, God will reward you with even more financial success. We're not about making promises for God here. But what I can promise is your donations are very much appreciated and help the continuation of everything we do here at Daily Renegade to reach the world with the truth of the Bible. Also, as many of you know, my son Nathan has had some very serious medical issues that we are treating with good, all-natural and holistic remedies. But of course, those are very expensive and are not covered by insurance, so your donations help go towards his health care as well. If you can't afford to donate, you can always donate your time in prayer, which is far more valuable anyway. Let's be serious. So pray for our wisdom, pray for God's guidance for us, and that we never lose focus on what's really important, which is using Daily Renegade as a light of truth that the world so desperately needs right now, especially in these times. As always, thank you so much for your generosity, and I pray God blesses you greatly. So the creation of hybrids definitely goes against God. So the rapid advancements in genetic engineering, such as blending human and animal DNA or reviving extinct species, have sparked, fascination and debate in the secular world. But for us Bible-believing Christians, these developments raise profound questions about humanity's role in God's created order. The Bible, as God's inspired word, provides clear guidance on why creating hybrids and tampering with his creation is wrong. Such actions defy God's design, usurp his authority, and follow the sins of the past, inviting consequences that Scripture warns against. And you know what? I have a whole ton of examples of that, but here's what I want to do. I keep mentioning that Prophecy Watchers interview. I'm going to go ahead and just play it for you on here. Prophecy Watchers has given me permission to repost their stuff onto this channel. So I want you to check out this interview, and then when after the interview, we'll come back and I will we'll go through the rest of this because there's more to get to. And at some point too, maybe next week or something, maybe I'll set it for tomorrow. I'll also repost that podcast, the longer form interview that I did with Mondo. But okay, so before we get back to the rest of the program, check out this interview.
Hello, I'm Gary Stearman, and this is Prophecy Watchers. Today we have a very special guest. His name is Josh Peck. And Josh Peck, welcome to Prophecy Watchers. You've been here before.
I have, quite a few times. Thanks for having me back.
I have to interrupt just for a minute and tell you that I really admire Josh Peck as a writer. A couple of books right here written by Josh Peck, and they are a good read. By that I mean you are pulled through from one idea to the next, and it doesn't seem to be laborious at all. When you pick up one of Josh's books, you just go right through it. And by the way, occasionally you even contribute to our magazine, The Prophecy Watcher.
Yes, sir.
So having said all this, these two books are called The Final Cataclysm, Volume 1 and 2. When you wrote these books, what was going through your mind?
Well, I was just seeing all of these signs, supernatural signs, really, even though a lot of times they're disguised as technology and things that are happening in our world today that really point to the fact we're right at the doorstep of the end of the end. And so each chapter goes into one of those areas. Some areas are so big that I've had to dedicate 2 or 3 chapters to, such as CERN, which we've talked about before on the program, and things like that. So yeah, and that's the subtitle, Supernatural Signs of the End Times, just really showing the breaking edge things that are happening today and showing how these things are prophesied. The world is a lot weirder than it was even just a couple years ago, and I think that that's launching us right into the end times.
The Bible says in the last days, perilous times shall come. And I'm looking at the subtitle on the front of your book, Supernatural Signs of the End Times. In the last days, perilous times. Now, those perilous times would include things like war, economic collapse, all sorts of social disorder. But they're also on the supernatural side. And by the way, the world is getting spookier all the time, if I can use that word.
Yeah.
And I think you pick up on that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's all supernatural. Even the stuff that we see as like technology, I think that's inspired by demonic forces, because look how it's being used. Just recently, we've heard the news story of the de-extinction, so-called, of the dire wolf. Well, it's actually worse than that. It's not really a de-extinction of a dire wolf. It's actually a hybrid. But they used AI to accomplish this. So we're living at a time now where AI can scan DNA, scan genome, and reconstruct it. And technically what we're doing is creating like a facsimile or a hybrid, really, of the actual extinct animal. So we're never, as far as I can tell, we're never going to be able to bring back an extinct animal, but we're going to make hybrids. Now, when we read about things like in Genesis 6, or the book of Enoch goes into further detail, not only did the fallen angels come and mate with human women, but it says that they, in the Nephilim, they also sinned against the animals, meaning they were likely making animal hybrids. Well, look what we're doing with AI and CRISPR technology and things today. We're making these hybrids, and this news story, everybody's saying it's a dire wolf. It's so much worse than that. It's an actual hybrid of things it's a brand new animal that has never existed before. So talk about the days of Noah. I think we're living in them right now.
Genetic corruption.
Absolutely.
Done via high-speed computer operations that didn't even exist 5 years ago.
That's right.
To me, and I hate to say this, But I find that a little scary.
Yep.
Now, I know that in the Lord, we are to trust in the Lord with all our heart, to lean not to our own understanding. In all our ways, we follow him and he'll direct our paths. And of course, that's the centerpiece of Christianity, but still, it's a little scary.
Yep.
I mean, you just can't help looking at this stuff that's coming up. And then you try to project 5 years down the line, what's going to be happening in 5 years, because changes are coming lightning fast these days. Changes in space travel, technology, computer technology, chemical and physical technology, and it's all moving so fast.
Yeah, faster than we can keep up with. Something that I write about there in one of the first chapters is how fast quantum computing is advancing. Now, I thought, so for those who aren't familiar, quantum computing it's a little different than just standard computing. So with standard computing, like a regular computer or laptop that we might have, when it performs any kind of calculation, it has to go through one thing at a time to get to the answer, whereas quantum computing can check all available answers at the same time and come up with the answer lightning fast. So whereas a regular computer would take a really long time to solve a very difficult math problem, a quantum computer can do it in seconds. The problem is a lot of our encryptions for things like even government secrets or banking or really anything. All of our encryptions are based on these really difficult math problems. That's how they encrypt them, because classical computers would take 1 billion years to process it. But quantum computers can actually do these within seconds. And so people, specialists now, experts are talking about what's called Q-Day, which is, Q stands for quantum computing, but this is the day that this technology, this quantum computing technology, falls into the hands of just anybody. It gets mass produced. So hackers can hack into any banking system. And the really scary thing about Q-Day is they're developing that technology faster than they're developing any protections for it. So there's an analogy, because everybody's using the internet all the time. So if they wanted to develop something to prevent Q-Day or to prevent quantum computing from being able to hack everything, they have to put in quantum computing tolerant protections, but they have to do that while everybody's still using the internet. So the analogy is this: it would be like if you found out a group of criminals got like a skeleton key, a key that could open up every door in New York City. So you have to change all the locks, but you have to do that while everybody's still using all these doors and going in and out of doors. It's like impossible. That's the scary thing about Q-Day, and experts are saying we're right at the doorstep of that. And once that hits, we're living in a totally different world that's almost unimaginable. We don't know what kind of ramifications, but one of the biggest things is it'll be really easy for terrorists or hostile nations to gain control. And something I postulate in the book is, the Antichrist gets a lot of control, like when he comes on the scene. I wonder if this is something he could utilize to bring everybody to their knees.
Well, that's what I've been thinking all the time you're talking. I've been thinking back to what the Bible says about the rise of the Antichrist and his amazing global control. And I'm thinking, well, what you're talking about explains this.
Yeah, they could hack into weapon systems. I mean, there would be no limit, because all of the important stuff, this comes from encryptors and cryptologists and stuff, all the important stuff is based on these really difficult math problems involving prime numbers that, again, classical computers would take billions of years, supposedly, to crack, but quantum computers can do it in seconds.
I've got to interrupt.
Yeah.
Because what I'm thinking is, people talk about God, and unbelievers, talk about God, and kind of, some people say there's a God. I'm not sure whether there is or not, but there is a God for them, and that God is a computer that presents itself as a personality, a computer that thinks, a computer that can predict the future, and when that computer comes along, which in your books you're saying it is, it will be very easy for the people of this world. Yeah. Otherwise, they would be unbelievers. That's what we would call them today. But it would be easy for them to become believers.
Yeah.
And what they're worshiping would be artificial intelligence.
People are already doing that. There's already churches dedicated to AI. There's already an AI Bible that was written by ChatGPT. Yeah, and people are following it. People can go look on Amazon and actually read the reviews. Like, people are writing reviews saying that this is enlightening, this has opened me up to true spirituality, and it comes from AI. I think this is a precursor to the image of the beast. Because when we read that prophecy, it says that the false prophet, like, he has the people create this image of the beast. Well, I think that's what people are starting to do now. I don't think AI right now is the image of the beast. That'll come in the tribulation, but I think it's a precursor to it, just like we can see certain precursors to the mark of the beast and things like that.
Josh Peck, as I said a moment ago, Josh occasionally contributes to our magazine, The Prophecy Watchers, and we're going to pause now and you can find out how to get your own subscription to The Prophecy Watcher.
10 years ago, we began an exciting journey, a mission dedicated to spreading the good news of the soon return of Jesus. Our passion for teaching Bible prophecy is what drives us to warn the world of events that are soon to come. In the last 2 years, tens of thousands of prophecy watchers from all over the world have subscribed to our monthly magazine, The Prophecy Watcher. 12 DVDs on Bible prophecy can be yours when you subscribe to our 48-page full-color magazine for just 1 year, print or digital format, all for a gift of $50, with shipping included in the USA. The prophets of the Bible predicted a series of end-time wars, and we're seeing the final pieces of the puzzle fall into place. Russia, China, Iran, Syria, Turkey. The enemies of Israel are on the doorstep, just as the Bible predicted some 2,500 years ago. The Prophecy Watcher magazine includes the writings of dozens of prophecy experts like Gary Stearman, Mondo Gonzalez, L.A. Marzulli, Bill Salas, Josh Peck, and many others, writing on fascinating subjects like the Rapture, the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Red Heifer, the World Economic Forum, the Global Reset, digital currency, the Mark of the Beast, the Nephilim, and the Antichrist's beast system of global control, things you will likely never hear about in church. 12 bonus DVDs will introduce you to Ezekiel's Gog and Magog war and the road to Armageddon. We'll examine the supernatural side of the Bible as we investigate controversial issues like the Nephilim, government UFO cover-ups, and the Shroud of Turin. We'll address the Luciferian Rebellion, a mutiny that changed heaven and earth forever. Speaking of heaven, you'll enjoy Mondo's glimpse into God's creation as he explores the stunning beauty of the stars and galaxies, seen through the lens of our Psalm 19 observatory cameras. 12 issues of the magazine, plus 12 bonus DVDs, a $180 value, now available for your gift of $50 to support our worldwide television outreach. Care to become a fellow Prophecy Watcher? Just visit our online bookstore at prophecywatchers.tv. Partner with us today and help us take the message of the soon return of Jesus to the whole world.
Have you heard the news? The Prophecy Watchers team and 23 Bible prophecy experts are coming to the beautiful Embassy Suites in Norman, Oklahoma for the Victory in Jesus Prophecy Conference. Join 1,000 other excited Prophecy Watchers on October 9th through the 12th of this year and say hello to all your favorite prophecy speakers. Gary Stearman, Mondo Gonzalez, Billy Crone, Tom Hughes, Bill Koenig, L.A. Marzulli, Steve Quayle, J.B. Hickson, Larry Ollison, Lee Brainerd, and many more. Plus a special concert by our Southern Gospel musical guest, Master's Voice. 4 days of blessing, encouragement, fellowship, and great prophetic teaching await. 23 speakers, 44 messages. It's America's largest prophecy conference. Visit our website at victoryinjesusprophecyconference.com for all the exciting details.
Well, we're back with Josh Peck. And Josh, before we had that break, you had me going because I'm sitting here thinking we're sharing ideas.
Yeah.
And number one, things are moving so fast.
Exponentially fast.
Number two, they're moving in directions that you can't even explain.
Yep.
I know that I don't understand what's going on. I hear the nomenclature. I hear people talk about AI and hyperintelligence and hyperspeed and the possibility of space travel using certain new technologies that are coming out as a result of the computers that we're able to build now. So everywhere you look, things are popping up. And if I weren't a Christian, I got to tell you, I'd be just a little bit wary right now.
Yeah, and even the experts that developed AI are saying that AI is doing things that even they can't explain. They don't understand how it's improving its own code. It's doing things that it shouldn't be able to do. It's actually lying to people to try to protect itself. It's scary the way that AI is going, and that we really don't have control over it the way that a lot of people think that we do, but we're still developing it anyway. People are still developing it anyway, and it's going to keep continuing.
If it lies, does it have a personality?
It's a good question.
Does it have a sense of self?
Yeah, well, it's already passed what's called the Turing test, which is basically, it's basically the point where a machine of some kind is indistinguishable from a real person. And there are people that are actually having relationships with AI, like romantic relationships. They don't want a human partner anymore. They want this AI that will be anything that they want it to be. And it talks to them like a real person. And these people are falling in love with this thing. And it's just, people are primed to accept worship of the image of the beast in the tribulation. So I think we're right. That's one sign, but I think we're right at the doorstep. And in my opinion, the rapture is going to come hopefully any day now.
Amen. You used a phrase, the image of the beast. Mm-hmm. Now, we've all read our Bibles, and we've read about the image of the beast for years and years and years, and didn't have the foggiest idea what the image of the beast would be. Mm-hmm. At best, our conception of it might be, well, it's maybe a demonic presence of some kind, image of the beast, or maybe it's some kind of a system of communications, global communications, or what could it be? Well, you just described it to me, and namely a personality that is brilliant beyond our ability to understand how brilliant it is.
Yeah.
And if the Antichrist finds himself in league with this system, he could easily present himself as God.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the scary thing is, in Scripture, when you read about the image of the beast, it says that it has life in it, and that word life is the same word that it uses for human life or for spiritual life. So that makes me wonder, if that is an AI being controlled by a demonic entity, who's to say that AI now isn't being controlled by a demonic entity? How would we possibly know?
I keep saying, this is frightening. And as soon as I say that, I think about my Bible. I pick up my Bible and I say, it's not frightening anymore.
That's right. It's frightening for those that reject God, but for us who accept Jesus as our Savior, we're okay. But we're also still susceptible to deception. That's why we have to be in our Bibles and have to know our words. So have to know the words, so we know the times that we're living in, and that we can defend against this. Because again, I mean, AI is everywhere, and it's being more and more utilized just in more common, just people's homes, and the level of control that it can exact on people is frightening.
You have a chapter called Quantum Consciousness.
Mm-hmm. That's the next step.
and you look at that and you say, okay, I'm not ready for this.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about.
Yeah, well, I think this is something that actually does get into the idea that the image of the beast has some kind of life to it that's comparable to human or angelic or demonic life. It has some type of life. And the idea of quantum consciousness, it's the next step from artificial intelligence. So you have artificial intelligence and you have quantum artificial consciousness. And it rests in the idea of the question of what is human consciousness? Like, how would you quantify that? And typically as Christians, we would just say, well, it's the spirit or the soul or something. And yes, that's what it is on a spiritual side, but on a physical side, what's the process that's happening within the brain to make us be able to be self-aware in this reality? Well, there's an idea called there's an idea that it might be produced by particles called corticons in the brain. And this is a hypothetical particle. It hasn't been proven yet, but it's a pretty solid idea. The scary thing is, if that's true, and if that produces the physical side of consciousness, places like CERN, once this is discovered, would be able to learn how to manipulate these corticons, meaning they could create an artificial, it wouldn't even technically be artificial, it would be just as physical and real as our consciousness is, but they would be able to create that in a lab and put it in a machine. Now again, who's to say that it's actually being created out of thin air and that those particles, those corticons, are not being manipulated by a demon or a fallen angel or several of them, legion, who knows? So that's the next step, and I think we're very close to that.
Essentially, you could call artificial intelligence a gate for alien entities.
Yes, yeah.
And of course, those we know in the Bible as demons.
Yep.
And again, this shouldn't surprise us because we've been told that in the latter days, a perilous time shall come. And I think that has happened.
Yeah, I believe so too. But yeah, that's the scary thing. And if that gets utilized by around the middle of the tribulation, that image of the beast prophecy, that would explain how something that is an image of the beast, seemingly artificial, can move around, have its own free will, and actually be, in essence, alive in a similar way, at least similar enough to use the same Greek word. As people or angels or demons or fallen angels, and any kind of sentient life. So,
as prophecy watchers, we see the era of the evil one drawing ever closer and with great and increasing speed. I listen to this, I read books like yours. In fact, I'm going to touch on another point in this book, and it has to do with signs in the supernatural, UFOs, and extra-dimensional entities. Now, on this program, we won't have time to go into this broad subject, but it does fit with AI.
Yeah, definitely. And just real quick, I believe that a lot of the supposed UFO crashes that exist, what if that is actually just a repeat of the Book of Enoch, where it says 200 watchers fell and they taught mankind war and all of these things. They taught mankind things that man didn't know. What if these UFO crashes are done on purpose from these aliens? They're actually, fallen angels and demons, but to give us this technology that we can back engineer and then use ultimately to our own destruction. But perhaps that's how we've been able to progress so fast with technologies like AI.
One of the huge subjects that's coming to light now is the reverse engineering of crashed UFOs. And where do the UFOs come from? Not some other planet or some other galaxy. I think they come from right around here. In another dimension, and that dimension is connected with what we call hell. What can you say?
Yep.
And it's all coming together, and Josh, your book just has impact. I got to tell you.
Thank you.
I felt a little queasy when I read your book. Wow, we're almost there.
It's a warning for sure, and that's why I feel like it's really important to get this message out today, because every day that Christians wait on this stuff, the world is getting further and further away from what we're used to. Oh, staying in the Word for sure. That's the most important thing. Staying in the Word, not backing off from these topics, because a lot of Christians think like, well, it's too complicated. I don't want anything to do with it. And that's okay if you don't have an interest where you want to dig into it as much as somebody like me or you or other people might. But at least know the basics. At least know what's going on. And it's most specifically dig deep into your Word so you won't be deceived. Because the thing about deception is you don't know you're deceived when you're deceived. So the Word is the cure for that.
Josh Peck, and the books, Part 1, Part 2, The Final Cataclysm. And here's how you can get your copies of his books.
I hope you're ready to take a deep dive into the Bible and its prophecies like never before. Technology is changing so fast, it's hard to keep up, which makes deep thinkers like Josh Peck so valuable to our audience. It's chilling to see how close we are to seeing AI take over the world. From AI churches, where pastors no longer need to prepare a sermon, to the AI Bible, where does this nonsense end? Who or what can we trust if AI is behind it? Josh said it well. AI and CERN have opened a gateway for demons to enter our world. Many of us are familiar with the angelic account of angels and human women in Genesis 6, but that DNA corruption went deeper than just the human race. The hybridization included not just the human genome, but even the plant and animal kingdoms. Whatever God called good, Satan has sought to pollute and destroy. Josh's 2 books, The Final Cataclysm, Supernatural Signs of the End Times, reads like a greatest hits collection. From extra-dimensional UFOs to the secrets of hell, transhumanism, the voice of God, Nephilim genetics, the rapture and the Dead Sea Scrolls, CERN, and our heavenly bodies, he explores subjects few people have ever considered. These 2 guidebooks to the supernatural are sure to increase your IQ while preparing your family for things to watch for as we draw closer to the tribulation. Both books are available in the Supernatural Signs package for your gift of $50 or more with 3 special bonuses. Josh's 2 recent messages from our Orlando Prophecy Conference, Quantum Computing in the Multiverse Deception, and the Israel and UFO Prophetic Connection, and Gary Stearman's top secret government UFO cover-up investigation, Project Jehovah. 2 books and 3 bonus DVDs, plus free shipping anywhere in the USA. Call the number you see on your screen or visit our online bookstore at prophecywatchers.tv. For our international friends, please note that additional shipping fees do apply and all prices listed are in US dollars. There is a solution for this chaos. From the world's perspective, the Bible calls it the mark of the beast, the Luciferian system of global control where your every action is monitored. From a believer's perspective, there's a day coming when Jesus will call his bride home in the rapture. A 7-year tribulation will follow, and a world leader, the Antichrist, will come to power. Our job at Prophecy Watchers is to keep people from that terrible time through a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. He is our answer to AI and the Antichrist. Never fear, Jesus is almost here. He's coming soon. Thanks for watching today, and may God bless you.
We are back, and I tell you, Josh, I read a lot of books, and these books have impact. You've got a very dramatic way and a very clear way of presenting ideas. I appreciate it. I wish I could write as well as you.
Thank you.
But
Take that as high honor.
we've got 2 or 3 minutes left to talk about the final cataclysm. You have sort of hit a timeline. In other words, in these books, you're giving us a little cue, a little hint about what the times in which we are living, and it may be later than we think.
Yeah, definitely. And the good thing too is it's not all doom and gloom. So I do have a couple chapters in there. One of the strangest and really most interesting things that's come out of quantum sciences lately is the development of what's called string theory. It's just basically, we know what atoms are made of. They're made of tinier particles. What are those tinier particles made of? And the idea is that there's these tiny vibrating strings that create particles. And so they wonder, well, what makes the strings vibrate? And no physicist has a good answer to that, but any of them that are at least a little bit honest will say, well, it's got to come something from outside of our reality. It's something extra dimensional. Well, I think the Bible gives us that answer. I think it's the literal voice of God that holds everything together. So we can use that as a reminder. While things get scary, the particles in your very body, in all of reality, are being held together by the voice of God himself when he first said, let there be. And so no matter what, God has us in his hands. Trust in Jesus, you'll be okay. Even if the worst should happen and you should die, you'll still be okay. You're still in his hands. Nothing can separate you from God. So I do put some positive things in the books because there are a lot of dark materials in there.
Wow. Josh Peck, he's a great writer. He's an idea person. He's constantly thinking, and he's a man of great faith. And I appreciate being able to talk with him and to share his ideas with you. That's what we do here at Prophecy Watchers. I'm Gary Stearman. Hey, you keep watching. We are.
As you may know, Prophecy Watchers is a viewer-supported ministry. Everything we do is made possible through the faithful support of friends like you.
Okay, hope you enjoyed that. So as you can see, that's how artificial intelligence and these hybrids and just all of this stuff, and a lot of other things that we talked about too. But all of this stuff really points to the days of Noah, in my opinion. And this is, of course, forbidden by God, which we're gonna get to. We're gonna get to right now. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed the first half of this episode of the Sharpening Report. You know, if you are a Bible-believing Christian who opposes the kingdom of darkness trying to run the world right now, then you are a renegade to the satanic system. We here at Daily Renegade wear that badge proudly. So, if you're a renegade as well and you want to see the rest of this video, head on over to dailyrenegade.com right now and get a membership today. Not only will you get the rest of this video, but you'll get our full catalog of Sharpening Report episodes and Daily Renegade update videos on topics such as Bible prophecy, science, technology, the Nephilim, aliens, and so much more. All of our episodes at Daily Renegade are early access, so as a member, you'll get the videos before anyone else does. Daily Renegade also offers videos not available anywhere else due to social media censorship. We also have a community page only for members where we can all fellowship together without fear of censorship. It's basically the best of Facebook and YouTube rolled into one without any of the garbage. Memberships are only $10 a month or $100 a year, and if you can do it, I suggest getting the $100 a year because it's cheaper in the long run, and essentially you get 2 months for free that way. So come join our family of renegades at dailyrenegade.com right now. The link is in the description below, and we'll see you there.